Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.
Good evening and welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, and once again, we're hanging out on Tuesday evening. Always excited to come out Tuesday evening because we have such great guests and really great topics. We always appreciate our guests coming out and sharing their expertise in different areas of business. As you know, as a business owner, there's so many things that it's really difficult to know everything. So that's one of the reasons why we created the show, because your business can only go as far as you're prepared to lead it. And each night we have a different leader, and you can learn perspectives and sort of, how they've been able to be successful and do what they do. So tonight we're going to be talking about the linchpin for creating a scalable business. Pretty much every business owner, that's their dream, to create a scalable business, to create a business that can run without them and that grows. And unfortunately, most business owners never achieve that. So as a result, they don't achieve their goals and their business doesn't become all that it could be. One of the key things, or one of the linchpins of being able to do this, is really finding the right person, the right second in command, and bringing them on successfully and preparing them and developing them so that, they can take on certain responsibilities and you can focus on higher level responsibilities. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, but we're going to do it from a different perspective. Generally, we're talking to the business owner and we're talking about, the business owner. But tonight, our guest is actually the second in command at a business, because it's good to understand that perspective as well, because, that's one of the hardest jobs you could ever have. I've been in that situation and it's really difficult for a number of reasons. So we're going to talk about those, explore those today as we do our conversation. So tonight's guest is Kyle Erickson. He's been, operations leader, second in command at a new company, and really has some great perspective to share. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm just going to invite Kyle on real quick and we'll go from there. Hey, Kyle, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Definitely it's great to have you as well. Where are you joining us from?
Well, I'm actually in northern Minnesota right now, and it's a balmy 15 degrees with some snow on the ground. So, the white Christmas is here. We're getting a white Thanksgiving right now. So,
okay, all right, man. That started early. I guess I can't complain. I was complaining about it being like 39 degrees in the middle of the night. So. So, but it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
So, before we get started, I want people to get a little bit of a feel for you and your journey. So, if you could take a few minutes to sort of walk people through sort of, you know, how, where you came from, where you are, and sort of the key steps in getting there.
Yeah. No, the last 15 years been in executive leadership roles, particularly in the manufacturing world. But how I got here, I've been coaching, various levels of athletics over the last 20 years. So graduated high school, needed to find a part-time job, and there was this opportunity to coach my younger sister's softball team. And I told my mom I got a job, and I'm thinking it was a summer job, summer gig, but it played a big role in my leadership development over the last 20 years. And with that, obviously went to the college route. Graduated college during the Great Recession. Had an eye-opening experience in '07, and kind of really had to just you figure out the path forward that I was going with. I had a political science degree, and I don't even know what you do with the political science degree. Here I am 20 years later. But it gave me an understanding to relate to people. It built that foundation that played pivotal, in my opinion, as far as leadership and executive level leadership goes. And kind of just worked my way up, and started out at a community action program, and just kind of worked my way up. And after being there for a few years, took over as an executive director, of a nonprofit. So kind of small business owner, but not really per se. Kind of board of directors, but kind of got to live and breathe the challenges and the stress and the difference, the ups and downs that go with the small business, and was able to kind of merge that nonprofit into a larger company. And currently I'm at Minstar Group. So Minstar Group is about 40 employees, and we wire harness experts. 7 months ago, I didn't really know anything about wire harnesses, but Andrew, a lot of things need wire harnesses, whether they're cars or appliances. And so kind of went from where I was at previously. We had about 500 employees, and now we're at 40 employees, and I'm just really enjoying the ride, enjoying the challenge, and I'm looking forward to, like you say, scalability, and where the future is gonna roll here.
Excellent, excellent. So, so you've sort of, like many people have a sort of windy journey. I don't
Yeah.
think this was where you thought you were going to be when you were younger, but it's always interesting, kind of where we end up, and a lot of times you end up sort of close to where you started. Um, and your journey's not over. You're still pretty young, and you got a lot ahead of you.
There you go.
So I know that you recently came to Midstar. How long have you been there so far?
About 7 months. 7 months in at Midstar, and
Okay.
kind of the the onboard. I mean, I kind of knew what this position was. The number two, working with the owner of this company, and basically being hand in hand, if you will, trying to ensure the left hand's talking to the left hand, making sure we're on the same page. And I think this opportunity really, to me, kind of coming in, was an opportunity to kind of bet on myself, right? And I saw and I felt the growth that the owner, George, felt, and what he saw, and through the couple conversations that we had, through the interview process, the dialogue, there was alignment with that, and that was important, right? I just wasn't looking to take a job. I had a solid career going where I was at previously, but this was just kind of something where over time, you're like, okay, I'm going to bet on myself. And the opportunity to grow, the opportunity to have some influence. But I think the alignment, obviously, with George was important. And one thing that really jumped out to me was the community involvement that he had, the community mission, vision that he wanted to provide an impact in the community that we worked in. And I think if that didn't exist, I'm probably not here, right? So 1+1 equals 2 with that, and I think knowing that, for me, it led to a really good trusting relationship that we've been having over the last 7 months here.
Okay, excellent. So we're gonna talk more about your experience and how you built that relationship, because that relationship's the cornerstone. And if that relationship falls apart, it's not the owner that's leaving. So, so you got to manage that relationship really well. So, but before we do that, we do our show through the Small Business Pro University, where we help entrepreneurs and business owners to learn, profit, and grow. And here's a short video about us and what we do. And right after that, we'll be back talking small business. Many small businesses experience low or no revenue growth, and the owners are not making enough money. I founded the Small Business Pro University to help business owners break that cycle by empowering them with greater knowledge and enhanced skills to lead their companies more effectively. Over the past 15 years, I've worked one-on-one with more than 1,000 business owners and taught tens of thousands of people about business. My experience includes serving as a Navy officer, graduating from MIT, earning an MBA from NYU, and achieving the CFA designation. Small Business Pro University empowers entrepreneurs like you to run their businesses more professionally and create sustainable enterprises. Small Business Pro University provides access to valuable resources, partnerships, and relationships that will help you to grow revenue, increase profit, and obtain financing faster and easier. Our Masterpreneur initiatives include more than 100 expert-led multimedia courses and training programs with more than 2,500 lessons. The Small Business Pro Network, our private community for entrepreneurs. Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, our weekly live stream and podcast. Advanced Learning Institutes, focused on revenue generation, profit maximization, and capital acquisition. And the Power Breakfast series, in-person events where business owners learn best practices, enjoy great networking, and gain useful knowledge. If you want to sell more and make more, you need to check out Small Business Pro University. Visit our website at www.sbprou.com. Welcome back. This is your host here, Andrew Frazier. We're here hanging out with Kyle Erickson, talking small business. The topic for tonight is the linchpin for creating a scalable business. And that's really about having a second in command and being able to successfully build the business together. And so many business owners, that doesn't happen for a number of reasons. Like I said, Kyle is, take on a role as second in command, and that can be a really difficult role to be in, So Kyle, you've been there 7 months. What was the first 30 days like? And, what did the owner do or not do that was impactful? And what did you do or not do that had an impact on, during the first 30 days? Because, it's always important to build a good relationship then.
Yeah, no, I kind of coming into this when I started, they had this 90-day plan, just kind of things are process, procedures, those are the things that are driven, orientated, if you will. And after 2 hours on the job, I think I just ripped that plan out, right? Just kind of started from scratch. And it wasn't the misleading of information or anything like that, or it wasn't me being completely out of touch with reality. It just the scope of what needed to change, being there for 2 hours just became clear, right? It was like triage mode. This is where we needed to work. Um and I, George, has the vision, right, where you want to go as a company, and so forth, and it's a viable business that we're in. And I think, over the last couple of years, it was lacking a little bit of the process and the nuts and bolts on how to get in alignment with where we want to go with that vision, with an implementation that kind of follows that. So I think, a lot of it was just kind of looking at the various processes, simple as it may sound, the process flows, where the handoffs happen, why do they happen, what's the value, focus on value added steps, anything that's not value, why are we doing it? So kind of just going through that. Um, I think anytime you go through a leadership change, whether it's, the number two in command, if you will, or an executive level, there's change, and sometimes change can be difficult. That's saying, we've all heard it, we all know it. But I kind of went in there just, observing, and I thought it was very important for me to kind of observe, build the trust, and then strategically kind of make decisions, to kind of move the needle of the company on where we wanted to go. What path, what directions, what do we need to do with, SOPs and so forth. But from day one, I think trust. That's all. That's the biggest. If anything, that's the biggest takeaway here is trust, between George, who's the owner, and myself, and um, allowing me to have the ability to make decisions that quote unquote, fall in my wheelhouse, and me trusting George to have the vision of where we want to go. And I think the biggest thing is just trusting, having extreme ownership in both concurrent avenues, as an owner, and as the number two, if you will. And having extreme ownership with that is also critical. And I think the trust and extreme ownership go hand in hand.
Excellent, excellent. So, you mentioned that um, when you came in within 2 hours, you realized it was way different than you expected it to be. And I'd say that probably for a lot of jobs, you see things from the outside and it seems like one thing, and then you go in and it's actually a totally different thing. And that's okay. That's just sort of how things are. But it did have you actually sort of rethink what you were going to do. So now you made this 90-day plan. Was it helpful that you did make it still, or were you like, oh man, I just wasted this time?
No, I mean, some of that stuff got moved up. Some of it got moved back. Some of it's waiting to be implemented. I think there's just, the X's and O's. Calling a play. You got these plays, you got these tools in your toolbox. Just when to pull them out, and I think so. That's kind of what changed, right? So it was, maybe, using a sports analogy, getting a little bit more down to the fundamentals of what we're trying to fix, versus, trying to, develop this X's and O's play that's going to be the next greatest thing. So it's just kind of breaking down to those fundamentals, making sure the culture was, the huge thing that we needed to address. the motivational strategies, kind of looking at those different nuances, the cost mechanisms, right? Having cost measures in place, the supply chain. It just kind of just was all just needed to get a fundamental improvement. And nonetheless, those are some things that you kind of just pull out of your toolbox when needed, if you will, Andrew.
Okay, excellent. So, you have a nice, calm demeanor. Does the business owner have a nice, calm demeanor?
He might be watching. So he, I tell you what, he's got a good balance, right? And I think that's important. And I think you gotta. What he has is empathy, and I think what I have is a sense of empathy. But when things need to be accountable, there's a time and place to have that accountability factor. But at the end of the day, I think empathy just goes a long ways, and I think him and I both have that leadership style of empowerment and empathy.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, empathy is huge. That's the key to leadership.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I was watching a TED Talk, and the guy was like, "Yeah, 95% of entrepreneurs probably have ADD." So, usually they're like all over the place, having ideas, thinking about stuff. And, because of that, a lot of times the processes and systems don't get put in place because there's not that level of consistency of focus from the top. And, that's one of the reasons it's so valuable to bring in a second in command, so they can be who they are and do what they can do for the company, but the company has what it needs to be able to function the way at an optimal level. So would you say that's sort of your experience? And you talked about you're probably coming in blocking and tackling more, and optimizing the business. What does that look like from your standpoint? What were like your top three things that you wanted to focus on once you've gotten there and been there for about a week or so?
Yeah, I think the big thing was wanted to focus on is just kind of going back to that coaching philosophy, right? And leaders. So I got a master's in organizational leadership, and I got that about over 15 years ago. And the biggest takeaway that I can share with that is empowering those around you to lead, right? And at the end of the day, you want to empower. And I think it was going through that mechanism and that process, and learning with my new team, and creating an opportunity for them to promote them to have the ability to lead. But there's also was some tough times to go through, right? It was, okay, what's this person's role now? Because I came in, and these are my strengths, and how are we going to all play through this sandbox here? And I think at the end of the day is you can get through that if you get trust. You can coach up if you have trust, and that's as simple and as cliche as that may sound. That's kind of where it all begins. And then also understanding what my strengths are and what my weaknesses are, and sitting and writing out quality management procedures are mightily important. But I'll probably need to take a lot of different breaks. So having somebody that was able to come in and kind of assist with me, having that flexibility and the bandwidth to have somebody I could work closely with, that we brought in, that kind of offsets my weaknesses as far as areas that I can do. It's not my bread and butter as far as focus goes, if you will.
Okay. Okay. And empowering people is key. So, when you're coming into a role like this, You got to manage up, but you also have to manage down. And, a lot of your employees are used to being able to go to the owner directly. And now, you're sort of new in the process. How did you manage that? And did you have issues with some people still trying to go around you or not? You know,
Yeah, I think I think you got to check the ego at the door, right? And if you can't get out of your own way, then you're not going to have success. And I think for me, it I didn't have any issues. I encouraged the employees to continue that dialogue, continue to go to the owner, and at the end of the day, if I'm doing things right, there's nothing to hide, right? It's an open book. Transparency is key. Transparency with the employees, transparency with the owner. The message should be the same, regardless of who I'm talking to. So I think having that understanding, having not being not having to have my ego filled by having all these different quote unquote people reporting to me. It really wasn't that really wasn't an issue. I think we just wanted to kind of keep an open book, which was important between the owner and myself and all the employees.
okay, excellent, excellent. So I don't know if you're a movie fan, um, but one movie that I like a lot is Crimson Tide with Denzel Washington. I don't know if you recall, but and I was in the Navy as well. And one of the things you have on the ship is you have the captain and then you have the executive officer, which is sort of like the COO. And Denzel had come in as the new executive officer, and the captain was a really tough guy to work with. But one of the things that the captain appreciated was that the EXO, Denzel came on and really just came on and watched what was going on and didn't really inject himself and stuff. And it sounds like some of what you're saying is similar, but how important is that? And how long did you sort of study the situation before you really tried to make any changes?
Yeah, I think it's a situation where you it's obviously quick reaction fixes, if you will, or you did that you just know that need to be changed. Okay, this is a bottleneck, or this is a non-value added step. But I'll say substantial changes or changes that need to take a little more time. It was probably about a few months, and I didn't want to overreact, but I think going back to that movie, I mean that's where it was me just observing, me passing along information, sharing that information, and I think as your listeners, the small business owners, if you're going to bring somebody in to kind of increase revenue, increase profitability, the elements of scalability, it's important that you hit a home run, or at least get a nice base hit with your number two hire. And if you don't, things can kind of fall off the rails pretty quickly. And over the last few months, it was just me having a dialogue with George and reporting, and some of it wasn't good, right? It was like the conversations, the dialogue that we had wasn't pleasant. And it was like, well, this is some areas that we need to improve upon. And we have been, right? So our revenues increased 55%, over the last few months. That's substantial. Profitability, so forth. It all plays a role. But I think it's just, again, just having that open dialogue and being able to, if you don't have trust, dysfunction is going to creep through your entire, whether or not you have 5 employees or 50 employees or 500 employees.
Excellent. Okay, so so in business in what you're doing now, um, you know, what would you say the three key skills that you had to utilize to make it a successful transition as a leader?
Yeah, I think it's servant. I don't even know what it was called back when I was going to grad school, but apparently it's called servant leadership. And I think that's one of the skill sets is just, okay, what can I do to help you, right? Help you do your job, and then empowering them. And then I think the second one is just extreme ownership. I mean, there's situations where very easily could have deflected, passed it on to somebody else. But at the end of the day, it's my job. I don't care if I've been here for 2 days or 2 years. That if something went off the rails, it's my job to make sure that didn't happen, and owning that, and having humility, being humble. I think it just goes back to motivation, motivating the team. And I think there's the triple bottom line, right? Which is obviously as a business, small business, you want to have profitability, but well, you want to have people, you want to have culture, you want to have engagement, and then you also want to have the community aspect and the pride. So kind of blending those, and then reinforcing what we want as our vision, as our mission, is again, as simple, as cliche as that may sound, but revamping and using that as your trajectory or your compass on your decision making processes, it really dials in the synergy of the team, if you will.
Great, great. And how would you say the culture has changed since you've been there? And what was it deliberate that you worked on it, or is it just something that sort of happened? And then also maybe introduce, what, and maybe what the business, what how the business owner looked at culture before you came, because a lot of business owners don't even think about culture, um, but it's so important to running a successful and growing business.
Yeah, I think it was twofold. Some of it was deliberate, and some of it just organically happened. The change in culture, and George, our owner as well, was very cognizant of the culture. I mean, he makes it a point, to make sure to have a weekly dialogue with the employees. Whether it's just seeing how their weekend went, whatever it may be. Um, so that's important. It's important to him, and some of it was deliberate. There's behaviors that just needed to change, and with that, sometimes some employees had to leave, um, and that's a tough situation for anyone. It's not a pleasant situation. It's not a pleasant situation for the employee or myself or the owner of a company. But again, you got to stick to your guns and what you want as your vision. What type of values you want to have here, and when you do that, then that pill's easier to swallow. But culture and engagement go hand in hand. It drives profitability. It lowers your quality issues. You get a higher standard of quality with your product, whatever you're doing, whether it's in services, whether it's in manufacturing, like we're in, and then safety. I mean, so the continuous improvement mindset. How can we do things better, right? It's the employees. What annoys you? Okay, let's figure out a way to, like, not to get rid of that annoyance, and having that engagement where they could feel they could come up and say, this is just absolutely driving me nuts. What can we do to get rid of it? Those are some things that we've seen a lot of, right? And just kind of pushing the envelope, and there's been some tough interactions, um, but it comes from a place of again, trust, and empowerment and empathy. And we might fail. We failed. We tried it. We tried some things that didn't work. But if you're not going to try it, you're not going to have continuous improvement, take your company where you want it to go.
Okay. Excellent. So, yeah, I mean, definitely, that's, a key piece. One of the key things that they say, and I think is true, is that, communication is like the most important skill for you to develop in any area of business and any area of life. And, how has your communication um, skills and requirements changed coming into a role like this, as opposed to other roles that you had been in?
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, Andrew, that's a great topic to talk about. And here we are 37 minutes later. Maybe we should have talked about that within the first 5 minutes, but I'm glad we are talking about it. That was, I think, the first question that I asked going through the onboarding process, the interview process, whatever you want to call it, is what type of communication is expected in this role, right? Is it a weekly? Is it a daily? Is it on the phone? Is it in an email synopsis of how the day went? So and as an owner, you have a right to dictate how you want that to be. And I think within reason, right? And our communication style was, something happens, we just got on the phone, right? We're going to call, we're going to talk through it, right? We're not necessarily going to be, emailing. There's a time and place for that. But I think as the number two to George, a lot of the stuff's phone call, right? You got to be ready and you got to handle it. And but you also got to have a work-life balance. And I think going back to why I felt this role was going to work for me was the value and emphasis of family George had. And there's times where if I'm getting a call at 9 o'clock at night, I know something's going down, right? It's something there, right? This isn't a 3 times a week type thing. So I think having that expectation and then that just the communication of, here we are, man. At the end of the day, Kyle's got kids, right, and a family, and there's things beyond work. But having that understanding and just that transparency, that openness of communication is critical. And I think, just putting everything on the table.
Excellent. So I created what's called the Masterpreneur Playbook, which really outlines the 5 key steps to go from startup to scaling a business. And the 5 steps are working on the concept of your business, working in your business, working on your business, working on the future of your business, and working on scaling your business. Where do you think your business is right now?
I think we're on 3 going up to 4, right? And I think, I think the path to getting to number 5 isn't going to be. We're pretty dang close, right? And I think there's a foundation in place that we have that's pretty robust. But we kind of had to just reset, right? We kind of had to reset, and an ERP system that I don't know if you know anyone that had a wonderful experience with an ERP implementation. Probably very few that have, and if they have, good for them. But optimizing our ERP the way we want it to be, and I think when we're in that process, standard operating procedures, training, development, empowerment, our customer-centric approach. Having the financial and operational discipline, right? Where can we have cost-saving measures in place? Is it through our supply chain or procurement process? downtime, and those things are ready to go. And I think, right now, where our company is at, the Minstar Group, we have an industry leading 2 to 3 week production lead time. So those were some things that we improved, and it goes hand in hand with our revenue growth. And again, really looking forward to kind of closing out 2024, and having a strong year going into 2025. So to answer your question, in between 3 and 4, and I think it's going to be sometime in 2025, we're at number 5.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, no, I mean, most companies never really successfully complete stage 3, because working on your business, optimizing your business, a lot of times isn't fun and exciting for the business owner. You really have to dig in, and big piece of that stage is analysis and processes, and sometimes that's like the boring stuff, but I think of it like I'm from Pittsburgh, and the Steelers are a great team because they had a great defense, and you no matter how good your offense is, if you don't have a defense, then you can't really be successful. So in that state, first you're playing offense because you got to sell, you got to grow your business, but then also once you do that, you got to manage it. Now, do you think that it would have ever happened if he didn't bring in someone like you?
I'm going to say, I think to answer your question, I think definitely needed somebody with these core disciplines, to be in this position, right? Kind of can't. I'm not going to say it's because of Kyle, but I think somebody that has those disciplines that needed to take that company to the next level, absolutely are required, 100% required. And I think understanding when you're at that as a company, when do you invest and when do you pull that trigger? Because if you wait too long, you might have missed the boat. And if you did it too soon, you don't have the bandwidth to play offense. To be honest, you're playing offense, and then all of a sudden you're starting left tackle and your wide receiver are down, and you're not winning games.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, definitely, that's why we call this the linchpin for creating a scalable business. Because if you can't have that combination within the organization, and it's really hard to have that combination within a single person.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely that's key. So, stage 4, we talked about working on the future of your business, and that's really all about planning. So what type of planning process do you have? What type of process did they have? What type of process do you hope to have in the future?
Right. No, those are some great questions. I think, truthfully, when I came in, it was kind of stabilized, right? Just kind of stabilize, and then get to that point where you have the trajectory to plan where we want to see what are some KPI benchmarks that we want to have for, whether it be revenue, new customers that we want to have in quarter 1, 2, 3, those different types of things. So I think stabilize, and now going into 2025, and this is, I think, we're probably goes from level 3 to level 4, and then hopefully getting to level 5 is is just having the vision and the foundation in place to go. Okay, is our ERP says processes, or can our processes be duplicated regardless of if I'm here or somebody else? If somebody else were to leave, processes duplicated, are the easy to comprehend? Are those processes able to go from A to Z in the operation, which includes the supply chain? Critical, right? And I think, bringing in with those processes, training mechanisms, to bring on some people. We're manufacturing in northern Minnesota. There's not a lot of people that just show up and say, I got 20 years of manufacturing experience. And that's okay, because frankly, I'd rather hire somebody that has the same values of this company where we want it to go. But having a training mechanism in place where somebody can come in and the process is easy, basically, bulletproof for them to come out. So I think we're getting we're getting into that, what I would say, the fun stuff, right? The strategic vision, and where we want to go from customer base. Right now, like I said, the industry that we're in, it's a pretty it's a robust, wide industry. It includes a lot of different things, and I think getting into, okay, what's our sweet spot? Where do we want to focus? Is part of the vision growth that'll provide us to a greater path of profitability.
Excellent. So, in the 5 steps of the Masterpreneur Playbook, you've got 5 steps of the business, but you also have 5 stages of evolution of the business owner that have to happen in order to lead the business through each of the steps. And those are, you really start out as an entrepreneur solving problem, solving a problem, figuring out who the problem's for. You work in the business, proving your market, proving that people want what you have and are willing to pay enough for it, and then proving that you can deliver it. Stage 3 is about really being about a manager. So that's where you start to continually improve and put in your processes and procedures. And then the next step is about being executive. And that's really about coaching. And then finally, CEO, where you're more of a symbol internally and externally to the company. But for the business owner to move forward, they have to backfill into the other roles. And, so that's another reason why having a second in command allows you to move up and, focus on even more valuable things for the company, understanding that, other things are covered. So now, you said you're sort of between 3 and 4, which matches up with that. Definitely management skills are key, and executive coaching skills are key. We talked a little bit about the next stage, or stage 4, is planning. How far in advance do you plan, and what types of parts of the business do you plan?
I think it's I think there's certain things you're planning weekly, but as I think a standard rule of thumb, you're looking at your quarterly risks. What are some things that could create chaos within the system that if we don't at least have a line of sight on. So this is kind of like playing the defense, if you will, going back to football, right? What could hurt us in our company if we're not prepared to look out for this risk here, whether it be a piece of equipment, capital manufacture, or capital purchasing, competitor coming in, the global market, the economy, whatever it may be. So that's something that, you're looking at doing that, quarterly. And I think as a strategic growth plan, what do we want to do as a company for revenue? Again, I think it just comes back to the quarterly, looking at that, and you got to be fluid in it, right? And there's going to be times where you're hitting the gas pedal to address the situation. But I think if you're looking at this, having these conversations, and you're looking far enough ahead and knowing that your systems are robust enough to withstand a little, it's okay to punt every now and then. But as long as we're not throwing that interception, if you will, I think doing this quarterly would be acceptable.
Okay. All right. No, it makes sense. And, you talked about, you want to prepare for things that are going to happen. A lot of businesses, they're looking at today and backwards. And, until you have, systems and processes, it's really hard for the leaders to look forward because there's so many fires. And as a result, you can't really anticipate stuff. So you're susceptible to bad things happening or missing out on opportunities.
Mhm.
One of the business owners I work with, we're working on KPIs, and he didn't really appreciate what they are until we actually implemented them. And then he was like all in. So, with some of the management practices, have you gotten pushback, but been able to sort of figure out a way to, demonstrate the value of it? And what are some of the tools that you use to be able to look forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, that's to see improvement and growth. Having your key KPIs, being a part of your trajectory, your strategic planning, your quality management system, your day-to-day operations. It's critical, and if you're not measuring, you're not going to improve. And I think coming in here and talking about these concepts of increasing our metrics and our KPIs, or revamping them, or focusing them elsewhere. There wasn't much pushback. At the end of the day, it's addressing things that are going wrong, or areas that you can see improvement. And if you got a good culture, you got a good value system with your employees, they want to see that fixed anyways, right? So, linking it to what annoys you, what do we want to see improvement in? KPI. If you're measuring something, you're going to see improvement. If As long as you're fundamentally doing that right with the implementation and tracking that information. So, KPIs are just critical to get to where we want to go. We're looking at various KPIs, obviously on-time deliveries, significant, or the mechanism with our quality. We're trying to be agile in an industry that's competitive, right? We got a lot of international, foreign competition. So what's going to separate us? What KPI with our engineering team? What can we do for RFQs? What can we do for different timelines to be handed off? What can we do for the procurement stages? How long did it take to order the raw materials? KPI, everything measurable with that, and with that, you're going to see a lot of success. And I think that's the exciting part.
Okay, excellent. So, one of the my least favorite things about the show is an hour is just not long enough to cover everything. But this has been great. I mean, I think we covered a lot of different topics that are going to be valuable to people who tuning in tonight, but also tuning in the future. Definitely your perspectives are valuable. But before we let you go, definitely want to, take a minute to get your, 3 key takeaways that people should take away from our talk tonight, because, a lot of times people can't remember more than 3 things. It keeps it simple, helps them focus, like tomorrow, these are 3 things that I should focus on. So if you could share that with us, that would be great. I'm going to run a quick video. We have an actual holiday special on some tools that could be valuable for entrepreneurs and business owners or future business owners. So I'll run the video and then we'll be back talking small business with Kyle Erickson. Ever wonder why some businesses succeed while other ones flounder or just plain fail? It's all about having a solid game plan, knowing what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, because your business can only go as far as you're prepared to take. How can you acquire the knowledge, the skills, and perspective that you need to succeed? What if you could learn the secret sauce in a matter of hours from the comfort of your own home or office? Now you can. I'm Andrew Frazier. I've written a series of books outlining my proven proprietary Masterpreneur Playbook framework that has helped more than 1,000 business owners to succeed. By reading the handbook and completing the workbook exercises chapter by chapter, you will actively learn how to become more effective at sales, marketing, financial management, operations, and more. Then, the playbook will guide you through the critical stages of business development and personal evolution necessary to work on your business and scale it successfully. As a result, you'll create a sustainable business that can run successfully without you. Here's what others are saying about my methods.
Andrew's books are outstanding. They're easy to read. They're interesting to read, and they will take you every step of the way from startup to scaling if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to put in the time.
Good practical information that is good for both entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs. Andrew breaks it down in a very understandable way.
He's been helping me with my financials, making sure everything's together, what's working versus what's not working in my business, so that I'm working on my business and not in my business, period.
If you want to work on your business and scale successfully, you need my Masterpreneur combo, the handbook, the workbook, and the playbook. Act now to take advantage of a special offer for my Masterpreneur combo and save over 25%. I'll also sign and ship all 3 books for free. This is a limited time offer that can only be accessed using the direct link below. www.sbprouU.com/combo. Get your Masterpreneur combo today. Once again, that's www.sbprouU.com/combo. Okay, welcome. I'm back with Kyle Erickson. Tonight's show, we focused on the linchpin for creating a scalable business. And that's really about having the right second in command. And it's a two-way street. For a business owner, it could be challenging bringing someone in and managing through it. But also for the second command, it's a challenge to manage the relationship, both above with the business owner and below with the employees. So it's a delicate balance. Kyle's doing a masterful job at that, sort of understands his role and kind of what's important and how to do it. And, definitely look forward to hearing your 3 key things that people should take away about what we talked about this evening, Kyle.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Andrew. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. And So greatly appreciate that. I think the one is again just trust, right? Looking at dynamic between owner, number two, or just in general, trust and empowerment, right? As an owner, empowering the individual you're tasking to kind of implement and drive change, right? And then so trust and empowerment. Second one is design processes for replication, repeatable processes. And when you have processes in place and alignment with those processes, if something were to go off the rails, you're able to kind of pinpoint where it went wrong, right? And so there's no surprise between the owner, the executive team, or the manager, or how large the team may be. The third thing is, I think, just having a long-term playbook, strategic growth. I think oftentimes we just could get focused on an immediate win that might completely go against what we want to do for strategic growth and a long-term playbook. So third one, focus long-term. Sometimes that might mean we have to turn down an immediate win.
Excellent. Okay. No, that's great. So, first the team is important, developing the trust, and really being able to empower people. Number two, you're saying that really optimizing your business, making sure you have your processes and procedures and things that really make your business repeatable and allow you to easily know whether things are going the way they should be going or if they're going a different way that needs to be addressed. And then finally, plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So, looking at the future and strategically is cool. So, I think you guys you're doing it the right way. I just like you said, I could see you scale, your business scaling within a short period of time. But a lot of things have to come together to make that happen, and a lot of things have come together since you've been there. So wish you much success with that. Anything else you want to share before we close out?
No. Thanks again. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your listeners, and happy holidays to everybody.
Okay, excellent. No, we appreciate it. If you can hang on for a minute as I close out, we'll chat for a minute. Once again, another great episode of Leadership Live. Always appreciate everybody joining in. Appreciate your comments, whether you're doing them live or doing them after the fact. And hopefully you get something important out of it, because definitely we covered a lot of valuable stuff. So, as you know, each week we have a different topic and, different guest. And next week we're going to talk about scaling your business by leveraging systems, automation, and technology. So that actually fits with the number two, processes that we talked about tonight. So looking forward to that, having Khadija Muhammad really talk about some of these key things that as a business owner, it's important for you to know. So hopefully you can join us next week as well. This week is Thanksgiving, so definitely, encourage everybody to take a little break, spend some time with family, and have a great holiday. Always remember that at the end of the day, the more that you know, the more successfully your business is going to grow.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 805, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.